yeah, Mitch and Majestic in where was it? In Croydon, I think. And my mother said he was never the same after that. It addled his brain. I love my mum.
Nice to see you. I appreciate you doing this.
Well, I appreciate you helping to, I guess, support our new album.
Yeah, I love it.
You listened to it?
Yeah, I did. I listened to it yesterday.
We were real pleased with how it turned out. It's a fabulous little room, Daryl's House Club. The sound was great. The people there are fantastic. They have a great engineer and setup. Normally, we don't get a chance to play such intimate rooms.
Sure.
But it was, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool. Very cool. And I love that you guys did the Live at the Belly Up record too in 2017.
Yeah.
That's around my hometown from San Diego.
Actually, that's another cool club. The reason we played there was, I think, well, part of the reason was somebody told us that the Stones played there. And I said,
they did.
Yeah.
I have a cool story for you on that, but go ahead.
I don't think we got paid as much as the Stones, though.
Well, what the funny thing, okay, so there's this super rich guy that lives in San Diego and around Solana Beach. And every year for his wife's birthday party, he throws like this outrageous thing. So like one year, I think he did it at his house where he hired Paul McCartney to come and play.
Wow.
Like just for his wife and a few people. And so that year, one year he did Lady Gaga, the Foo Fighters, and a couple other people. And so he did that one at the Belly Up. That's kind of what started it. Yeah. And he'll invite, I think he owns or runs like some nonprofit. And so like the highest people that donate, he invites them to these Belly Up shows. And that one year he happened to have the Rolling Stones. And it was like this secret concert. And I was working at a radio station at the time, and my program director got wind of it. So we went down to the Belly Up and we were broadcasting there, like just blasting it out to everybody that the Stones are in San Diego.
I want to see Mick. I want to meet Keith. I want to do a line with Keith.
Yeah, it was wild. But that's so cool that you guys did that. I saw that that you did the Live at the Belly Up, and my wife and I are from San Diego. We love it.
Once again, it was like they had a really cool setup where they could record. We have a lengthy sound check, and we've been playing out, so everybody sort of knew what to do. It wasn't like we were sitting there going, "Oh, what do I play here?" Like,
sure.
We just had a year and a half off, so it's like we've had 7 rehearsals. We've done one show. We did a theater in Chicago, the Arcada, just outside of Chicago in St. Charles. But it's good to be back in the saddle again.
Sure.
Sold my old 44.
I saw you guys have 6 shows coming up too, which is awesome.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff coming up.
That's amazing.
It's just once a week for this month. Then after that, we got like 9, 10, or 11, and then we're out.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's been what, 50 years of this band?
50 years.
Wow. Can you imagine when that first record came out that you'd be doing this 50 years later?
Back then, I don't think I really thought much more than it was always in the moment back then. It's like music. It's always in the moment. It's like a moment in time. I mean, every time it's like when you're recording songs, it's a moment. But there was a time when, or different songs, you struggle with to let it go. So is that as good as we can get? Is this what you like? That's one of the issues when you have 4 people or 5 people, if you're including your producer. Is that good enough? I don't know. Could we do it again? I don't know. Well, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. It's like, but generally Foghat always, because we were always pretty much in charge of the band, we didn't have people telling us what to do or to record.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you stand and fall by your own decisions, which I think it's healthy for a band anyway.
Sure. Well, I'd love to hear your story in music. If we could start at the beginning, I hope that's cool with you. Were you born in Hampton Court Palace? In England? or
no,
no?
no, I'm not. No, I'm not actually royalty. Actually, I am an earl, cheap royalty.
But
No,
isn't that around isn't that an area there, or maybe
yeah,
I'm confused. Maybe
it's
you
an
weren't
area.
actually where the crown is.
Yeah, it's an area of the River Thames. I was born in the Bearsted Memorial Hospital. I was the last son in the family. I was born in '46, so just after the war.
Okay.
Uh, my mother, I remember my mother telling me, she said, what a beautiful hospital it was, because my other two brothers were born during the war. So
Oh,
it was rough.
I'm sure.
I
Wow.
used to play in bomb shelters. That was my playground.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, houses were blown up. I mean, London especially was like decimated. Apart from St. Paul's Cathedral, everybody thought that God was on our side. Actually, I think they thought God was an Englishman. Uh, cut that out. But yeah, it was fun growing up in bomb shelters. Oh look, I found an unexploded bomb.
Oh my
Yeah, I didn't
gosh.
actually, but people did. It
That
was
is
good.
crazy.
Yeah, it was, and we were on rations till we were like 8 years old. But
Uh-huh.
there was always music in our house, always.
And
My
how
mother
close were I'm just curious on the bomb shelters, like how were those like fairly close to your house? Like like I'm so
actually, bomb shelters were actually the underground and railroad stations, anything that was underground. But I used
okay.
to play in bombed out houses, actually, bombed out
Oh,
buildings. That was my
oh my
playground.
gosh.
Yeah, find all sorts of strange stuff in there.
I can't imagine.
Bones.
Oh my God, bones. Wow. Okay. So music was always in the house.
Yeah. Mum and dad came from the East End of London, and dad played piano and sang. My mother sang actually as well. My father actually was. He worked at Aston Martin's, their old firm in Feltham, which was just down the road from where we lived in southwest London.
Oh wow.
But there was always music. Dad was always singing. Always had a record player of some sort. My grandmother did. We had a tape player. We would tape stuff off of the TV and off of the radio. My father brought home the first Jerry Lee Lewis record. I believe it was Great Balls of Fire, but I do remember the B-side, which was Mean Woman Blues. And as Dad played piano somewhat, he said, "Here, have a listen to this boy, son. We can really play the Joanna," which is a term for piano.
Okay.
So when I was 12, my father took me to see Jerry Lee Lewis.
Wow.
Yeah, Mitchell Majestic in where was it? Croydon, I think. And my mother said, "He was never the same after that. It addled his brain." I love my mum.
And did it? Was that it for you? And you knew you wanted to be on stage like that?
Yeah, I started learning piano a bit. My older brother Colin, he was 4 years older than me, was learning piano. Dad was self-taught.
Okay.
My brother Colin played in Mungo Jerry, "In the Summertime."
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah, and they had about 10 like top 20 hits in Europe. I think it was just that one over here in the States.
Uh-huh.
In fact, the lead singer in Mungo Jerry was the lead singer in the first band I was in.
Really?
We went to school together, him and the bass player and the other guitar player. So I didn't join the band till I was 17. They've been playing since they were like 10 or 11, I think. So I got in. It was good fun.
Were
But
you the drummer of the band?
I was the drummer. Got thrown out because he couldn't play, and that's when I joined.
Okay.
Actually, no, he played too quiet. That was the problem.
Oh.
He put all this tape and stuff on his drum heads, and like you couldn't hear them because they were sort of a blues rock and roll band, and need to be able to hear the drummer.
Sure. When did you learn drums? You said piano first?
Yeah, I started tinkling around with it because it was a piano in the house. But
Okay.
after I saw Jerry Lee Lewis, I said, "No, I don't think I'm ever going to manage that." But I believe on this tour he brought his own drummer over. Not that you could hear it too well, because back then they had like 2 Vox columns the side of the stage, and
of course,
2,000 people in there. You could hardly hear it. But that was the magic moment for me, seeing him, and that was, then I got the bug. I mean, I was always tapping on stuff, ruining mum's good china and breaking stuff.
And she got sick of that, so she bought you a kit, I'm sure.
No, nobody bought me anything.
I
had to save up. Dad, I wanted to buy a motorbike when I was 11. I would work after school. I did evenings. I did 3 evenings a week, and I did a Saturday morning in the bakery. I always had my own money. And I said, and I was saving it. And I said, Dad, I want to get a motorbike, because Dad had a bike, of course, when he was younger, during the war and pre-war, the sidecar with it. And I'd see pictures of it. I said, I want to get one of them, Dad. And he said, well, I'm not going to help you with that, son. I want a drum kit. And he said, all right, let me see what I can do. Anyway, he had a friend that he worked with who was a drum teacher. And he toured actually with a lot of American artists that come over to England. So he was a great drummer. Name Roy. I can't remember now. I know he was the same drum teacher that the drummer Mick Avery had in the Kinks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His name escapes me at the moment, but it'll probably pop up during the conversation.
Oh, good.
They said, well, anyway, I started taking drum lessons, and I had already picked my drum kit out, a black Marine Pearl Premier kit. It was in the store window in Kingston, I think it was. And so I took drum lessons for about 2 years. When I was 15, my drum teacher said, okay, you can get a drum kit now. And that was it. I was off.
Oh, so you were just going over to your drum teacher's house playing on his kit? How would you practice? Like a pad?
A practice pad.
Okay.
Initially, yeah. And then when I would go to my teacher's house, after about a year, he set me on the kit. And, then I started working on pedals and stuff like that.
Okay.
Great teacher, actually, but typical teenager. I thought I knew it all, which I did, and still don't.
50 plus years later, you still don't.
There's always something to learn.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So from there, once you obviously learn to play some beats and play drums a bit, what was the first band that you started? Was it something early on? I mean, prior to being 17 and joining the established band at one point?
I used to answer stuff in the local paper for Drummer Wanted, and I did a few introductions which are pretty horrible. But then my friend, probably my best friend Dave, was a bass player, who I went to school with, just came over the house one day and said, you want to join the band? And we did a rehearsal. Then the next day we played the Ricky Tick Club in Windsor, and we were off. And we stayed together until I was 20, a good 3 years. Myself, Ray Dorset, and Dave Hutchins on bass. And it was great. We did a whole bunch of stuff. I played with a West Indian singer, came from Trinidad, called Jackie Edwards. He co-wrote Keep On Running, and a bunch of other stuff. Spencer Davis group. He was really cool. That was a lot of fun, actually. Jackie, he passed away a few years back, but he really treated us well. And I got to play all the sort of West Indian clubs in London and Birmingham and Manchester. We were the only white faces in there, but we were treated special because we were with Jackie.
That's good.
He was a cool man, actually. I learned a lot doing that, and also I played in a number of like reggae festivals, so I had to sort of get my chops together on that. That was fun. Actually, I've forgotten about most of that. Yeah. And Jackie had a Lotus Cortina, and occasionally he would take us up there if somebody else was driving the equipment. And that was interesting, doing 120 miles an hour with Jackie smiling.
120? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but those were the days when there was no real speed limit on the motorways. So
sure.
Yeah.
What did you
those,
have that could? What car would make it a 120?
it was a Lotus Cortina.
Oh Lord. Okay, Lotus Cortina. You did say that. Sorry.
Jackie was into cars.
That
As
is
was I.
awesome. Well, Dad worked at Aston Martin, so I'd assume that you knew a bit, right?
Yeah, that was cool. When I was growing up as a kid, I would come home from lunch times, like probably when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And Dad was a panel fitter at Aston Martin. So he would fit the doors, he would fit the dashboard and stuff like that. And then he would have to take it out to test drive it to make sure there were no rattles, which did. But he would have these beautiful cars outside the house at lunchtime, bright red, British racing green. One color I remember was Kingfisher blue. They were so yeah. Dad was always a car fanatic, and he had a heavy foot.
Heavy foot.
He had heavy hands as well. His piano playing was more of the style like Fat Swallow, Alligator Crawl, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I had great parents, actually. I was very fortunate. They never beat me.
Oh, that's good.
He deserved it once or twice. But
Were they pretty supportive of the success of the band early on and all that?
Yeah. I remember one time, Dad's 60th birthday, 1967, I think that year. Was that when we did the blues show, Linda? 67? 77, sorry, 77. In New York, the New York Palladium, we supported Muddy Waters, Johnny Hooker, Johnny Winter, Paul Butterfield. We were like the house band, and it was a benefit. We didn't get paid, but actually we were doing fine. And Mum and Dad came over because they had more money than sense. Hold on. My wife says if I had a dime, I'd have more money than sense, but that's another story. But so we're the house band at the New York Palladium, and it's Dad's 60th birthday, so I brought him over for a couple of weeks over the States, and we were backstage, and they knew who Muddy Waters was because I had a bunch of his records, especially his Live at Newport, 1961. That was a big turning point for me, that record as well. Anyway, I say, Mr. Waters, this is my mum and dad, Muddy Waters, and it's like this youngest son is shaking hands with one of his musical heroes.
That's
Muddy
so cool,
man. Actually, he was so cool, and he had this most wonderful sort of smile and a way about him. Everybody sort of loved the man. Everybody respected him because of who he was, and he didn't let you down.
Wow.
The thing about Muddy, Johnny Hooker, he was a piece of work. He was really interesting. Willie Dixon, who wrote most of those songs, was big man. He was about 6'6", something like that. And we met him one time, and he was fantastic to talk to and hang out with. In fact, he invited us over to his house for dinner for one time. We were playing in Chicago. We had 3 dates, 3 nights at the auditorium there. And first night, Willie Dixon sent down his daughter. She was like 17 or 18. We treated her like the princess she was, as far as we were concerned. And the next night, she came down with her brother, Butch, who later on went to become Willie's road manager. And on the third night we played there, Willie himself came down. The man came down.
Wow. And
because I Just Want to Make Love to You, which he wrote, off of our first album.
Yeah, you guys did that one, right? That was kind of the first one that got radio play and everything else.
Yeah. That's what broke us. And then in 77, we released it off of the live album as well, which went double platinum. So Willie's getting all this money from this band called Foghat, and I think what he said to his kids was, "Hey, go down to the auditorium and see what these Foghat guys have got under their fingernails." I guess it was all right because he invited us over to his house. We went there about 6 months later, and we came back to town, and we were up till about 4 o'clock in the morning at Willie's house playing music, listening to records. beautiful man, beautiful family, actually.
Uh-huh. Was that song a big hit for Willie Dixon at the time, or no? Or did you guys kind of put it on the map?
No, well, I mean, well, Muddied had a sort of a big hit with it. Muddied Waters' version was the version up until
okay. Sorry, I forgot about that. Sure.
Yeah, until we got our grubby little fingers on it. Yeah, it was cool. I think it was really cool that people like Willie and those writers who wrote all that great stuff, and especially like Chuck Berry as well. There'd be no rock and roll if it wasn't for Willie Dixon and Chuck Berry. Oh no, Elvis probably had a finger in that, but he didn't write it.
Right? Yeah, he didn't write the songs, right?
No, but he performed them.
Sure.
I think it's important that you never forget how to be a fan. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I love to play. Because music is like. Hold on, I remember seeing a sign once. We were in somewhere out in Colorado. I was like fishing and riding my bike and stuff, and there was this sign over a record store I found, and it said, "Without music, life would be a mistake." And I went, "Huh, that's me."
I like that. I haven't heard that one before. That's really cool. That is a good one. Yeah. I'm curious to know. So, when you guys were all in a band, you were in a band with Lonesome Dave and Tony Stevens before Foghat, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And when did that band start?
Well,
how did you meet those guys?
They were already a band.
Okay.
Savoy Brown, I think, formed in like 64, something like that, with Kim Simmons, who I'm still very good friends with. In fact, we just did our first show out in Chicago, and Savoy Brown were on the same bill with us.
Wow.
I've stayed good friends with Kim throughout the years. I auditioned. Things were getting a little slow with the band I was in, myself, Ray and Dave. So I started looking around for work, and I saw an advert for a bass player and a drummer for a blues band, which was Savoy Brown. I borrowed Dad's car. We went to this place called the Nag's Head in southwest London, and I didn't get the job the first time. Apparently Bill Bruford did, but he only lasted a month. I don't know what was wrong. So they told me he couldn't play a shuffle, whatever that means. I mean, you can't play a shuffle, you can't be in a blues band. But Bill was a great drummer, obviously. But they probably didn't pay him. That's probably the truth.
Oh, sure. He's like, what? I'm not doing this for free.
Yeah, right. So I get a call back because the manager of Savoy Brown was one of the booking agents that used to book the band I was in. So that's So I get a call back. They just want a drummer. They'd already got a bass player, and so I played for about 2 hours with them, and I start packing up my drums, because I had a day job. I was a commercial artist, and they said, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going back to work. I've got a day job. And they said, we've got a gig in Birmingham tonight, so I'm in the band.
Wow.
Yeah. I've probably told this story before, but I didn't get paid for the first 6 weeks. Now I'm working, 4 days a week. I've got a day job. So, you're going to Newcastle, and I get back to London at like 5 or 6 in the morning, look like something the cat's dragged in. And then I have to go to work and sort of like, do all this fine stuff. So after about 2 weeks, I go and see the manager of the band, Harry. I'd say, Harry, I haven't got paid yet, and I've done about 8 shows. He was Welsh. He said, you haven't got paid yet, boy? Oh, we'll see about that then. And then a couple of weeks go by. I still haven't got paid. I'll go up to the office and say, hi, Harry, I haven't got paid yet. You haven't got paid yet, boy? Oh, we'll see about that then. And this went on for about 6 or 7 weeks. And eventually, I think I got paid £12.50 a week, wife and kids to keep.
Oh, wow. So did you have to keep the day job at that point?
Well, I had to give it up eventually because I mean we were playing like 4 or 5 days a week. In fact,
Okay.
the people I worked with as a commercial artist were really terrific. They knew that where my heart lied, you know, and I'd come in not looking rather tired, but I'd go to work and I used to do overtime, a lot of freelance work as well.
Uh-huh.
And they said I'd make excuses, say, well, the bus was late today. They said, yeah, you played in Newcastle, didn't you, last night?
Oh, so they knew the band.
So
They knew about
they
it. They knew what was going on, huh?
Yeah, they knew where my heart was lying. So I had a big send off and took a huge reduction in pay, but I was in a rock and roll band, or a blues band, I should say,
Uh-huh.
and I was more importantly a professional.
Professional, yeah, musician. I didn't realize that. So you're a commercial artist, so you can draw pretty well, I'd assume, right?
Yeah, I don't do much of it anymore. I did help out on one of our album covers, the Family Jewels album, which was the first one we did after Dave did. I did the artwork on the front cover, but my girlfriend does all the artwork now,
Oh, okay.
and my wife does as well.
But were you
They're one of the same.
what did you did you did you I mean, did you go to school for art, or was it like, how did you realize that you could draw really well? I'm just
Um,
curious on this because that fascinates me that you did that prior.
I Yeah, I was always good as an artist. You know,
Okay.
even when I was a young kid, you know, I would do drawings or I'd make models and stuff, and I'd have to walk around the school even when I was like 7 or 8 years old and show people my work. Yeah, I was fortunate. My older brother was a commercial artist.
Oh, okay.
My father could draw really well, and my aunt could as well. I forgot about that. I guess it was just one of those things. It sort of runs in the family.
That's
Uh,
cool.
I enjoyed it for a while, but it's basically, you know, drawing black and white lines, and you know, I would do like stuff, you know, uh, that would be given to the printer. You know, like
Uh-huh.
you would have like a box of something, a box of cornflakes, and I would do the design for the printer to make it. I did occasionally. I got a chance to actually design something, but I would just do the grunt work.
But still, that's cool. That's a cool gig to have.
Uh, yeah, and it was very lucrative. I was good enough at it, and like I said, I did a lot of freelance work. I don't really do any painting or drawing now, other than to entertain the grandchildren.
Okay. Do little drawings for them. That's cool
Yeah,
though. To
yeah,
have that skill set. I mean, obviously, as an artist, you
yeah.
can play drums and
That doesn't look like me, Granddad. That's how I see.
Oh, that's funny. So when does Foghat start? When like how quickly after you got together with Dave and them?
Let's see. At the end of 1970,
Okay.
Savoy Brown had a new record deal. The band was doing fantastic. We were selling out. The band was earning, you know, between $10,000 and $15,000 a night back in 1970, which is a lot of money.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, well, we were only getting paid $100 a week
But prior to Foghat, that
prior to Foghat. Yes.
okay.
So it just seemed like a good time. Tony Stevens got fired, and Kim asked us if we, you know, wanted to stay on. We said no. I think it's time for a change. But you know, we said, you know, we'll stay until you get a new band, put your band together. We'll be here. Yeah. And the next morning, we had a meeting with the manager, and he told us if we left the band, we'd never work again in America or in England.
Wow.
Yeah, what a scumbag.
So wait, so I'm curious real quick. So at this point, you had already toured, like massive touring,
Oh
came to
yeah,
the States, like yeah, because that band was huge, right, for a while.
I came to the States, what, 68, 69.
Okay.
We left Savoy Brown the end of 1970. So yeah, that was great. It was like coming home as far as I was concerned. You know, this is the land of music, and you know, this is my adopted home. I always wanted to come here ever since I remember when I was about 8 years old. I wanted to run away to the States. I was going to, you know, get on a boat or something. And my older brother went along with it for a little while. And then when I packed my bags one day, or whatever it was, he said, "That was stupid."
Where in the States
But I
fascinated
made
you?
it.
New York City, or
I'm sorry?
where was it that fascinated you, or what was it about the United States? Was it New York, or was there a certain city that you wanted to travel to?
No, it was everything about America. Just, of course, the music.
Okay.
It was fascinating. You know, this is the land of music. Like I said, you know, there was always music in our house. You know, Dad would play like stuff, you know, big band music. It was always American music. I mean, what did he? Hey, nonny, nonny. That's not entirely true, but America was the land of music,
Okay.
a land of opportunity. You know, they had rock and roll, they had blues, they had jazz, gospel, country, and western. It was, you know, of course, it was, you know, influenced by, you know, the I guess Irish, Scottish, and English folk music, and French folk music as well. Their melodies, and of course, you know, the Africans probably sort of transformed everything into sort of greatness, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
It was, and the first time we came here, I just felt I was home. In fact, what's the guitar player's name in the Young Rascals? What's his name? Guitar player in the Rascals. Not Felix, because I'm still.
Eddie Brigati?
Hmm?
Eddie Brigati?
No. Guitar player with the Young Rascals. Anyway, first time we got to New York, he befriended us, and he took us to. We read his book.
I know.
Oh, good.
Anyway, he befriended us, and he took us down to Harlem. We got up.
Gene Cornish.
Oh yeah, Gene Cornish. Thank you. My girlfriend's over here.
Okay, I can hear her.
Gene
Hi.
Cornish. He was really cool. I mean, because he knew everybody, and he took us to the jazz clubs and blues clubs around Harlem and New York, and we got up and jammed. And I don't think we embarrassed ourselves too much, but it was. I feel real comfortable here, even though you guys talk a little funny. No, it's home. I love this country. I love how it is. You know, it needs a little bit of work still, but I won't go there. This is home.
That's
in fact,
awesome.
yeah, I love this land.
So Savoy Brown, you guys have done a lot. You come here, there, you all three of you decide to leave, and then you start what, Foghat quickly after that, or was it? Did you guys know you wanted to still play together?
Well, we stayed actually until 1971. We even did some recordings with Kim whilst he was getting his next band together.
Okay.
I don't think they used any of them. I think they used some of the songs that Dave and Kim wrote on their first record. But I stayed in touch with Kim. True to his word, the manager stopped us from working in England.
Really?
Yeah, the agency was Chrysalis Agency. Chris Ellis and Terry Wright. In fact, I went to see them and talk to them about, you know, once we put the band together, we found Rob Price. And they said, we can't do it. Harry threatens to take Savoy Brown and Chicken Shack away from the agency, which were two of the biggest bands in England at the time, and the States to some degree. So we sort of struggled. Then we got our record deal with Bearsville Records with Albert Grossman.
Mm-hmm.
Came over to London to see us and said, "Hey, let's do it." After he'd heard us play in a club, I mean, probably been a bit frightening. Where were we?
you signed to Bearsville, so you were able to what? Because they're a U.S. label, you didn't have to deal with
Yeah.
the whole kind of
Well,
muddiness of what was going on with Savoy Brown.
yeah, we couldn't get any work, but anyway, Albert Grossman came over, and once we got the record deal, we'd already done some demos as well.
Okay.
And the Beatles publicist Derek Taylor was working for Warner Brothers in London, and they were the parent company of Bearsville. And he took a real liking to the band. Wonderful man, really cool guy. And he started getting us some gigs. I mean, he wasn't an agent or anything. He worked for Warner Brothers. And so he started getting us some gigs around London and Scotland and a few other places, just because he liked the band. As I said, you know, the agency wouldn't do anything with us. No agencies would touch us. And then then we did a tour in England with Captain Beefheart after we'd finished our first album, which was produced by none other than the great Dave Edmunds. He was, I don't think our first record would have been anywhere near as successful as it was without Dave Edmunds' input. But we did a 3-week tour with Captain Beefheart. That was a lot of fun, actually. They were always asking, well, where can we get some weed? No, I don't have weed over here. It was a rarity, hashish. But that was a lot of fun. We played the Albert Hall. And then everything kind of slowed down again. And then the record was released. Our first album was released in the States. I Just Want to Make Love to You was played on the radio. And we got a call from our manager at the time and said, we're booking a tour over here. And
wow.
we did. Our first date was we came in 72, late 72, I think. Our first date was in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We were playing in a park. It was a town event, but we didn't have our visas. We had H1s to get into the country. I think you need an H2 to perform.
Okay.
Or get paid, I should say. So we played anyway without getting paid. And when we got our visas, they paid us. They say those people in the Midwest are the very best. Yeah. Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I remember it very well. It felt like coming home.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then how quickly do you move to the States? Was it soon, or do you go back to England?
I moved here in 73.
Okay. So after the first record had came out.
Yeah. I went back once or twice during 74, but basically we were working all the time here. You know, once we started, it was like, once we got that, we played anywhere and everywhere. It wasn't a question of how much we're getting paid. It was, remember one day we turned up to, it was Keishi radio station down in St. Louis, and they were putting on something and they were going to promote the record, and they had a parking lot but we turned up to play with our amps and guitars, but there was no stage, no lights, and there was this little 2-prong thing on a light stand that we were supposed to plug into, but there was no PA. Well, how are they going to hit? Well, oh, you don't have that? Oh, we came back about a month later and did it properly, but it was interesting times, actually.
Sure. Wow. So you guys had what, 3 gold records before Fool for the City came out, which was like probably next level for you, right?
Yeah, that was big. That was a big jump for us. That was Tony Stevens had got fired again. He was always getting fired. Such a pain. Good bass player, though. And Nick Jameson, who helped produce, worked with us on the first album and helped produce the second album. And I was living up in Bearsville at the time, near Woodstock.
Okay.
And we needed a bass player, and Nick and I would like go out and jam at the local clubs up there. and he was also the resident engineer at Bearsville Records. And we became good friends. You know, we played badminton and stuff like that, and go out and jam at the local clubs. And I said, "You play bass?" And he said, "Yeah." Nick Jameson's one of those horrible people. You can play everything really
Of
well.
course.
Do you hate people like that?
Yeah, they can just pick up anything, and that's usually the case with some of the drummers. For example, that can play everything better than anyone.
So he said, yeah. So we rented a bass and drove down to Long Island. Rod Price and I, the guitar player, had a house out on Long Island, and we'd had the basement soundproofed. So this is it was Nick. This is the first time we played together with Nick, and there was no auditioning him. I mean, the man could play anything. The first song we wrote was "Slow Ride."
Oh wow!
Yeah, right. It just came from a jam. You know, it's a John Lee Hooker riff. You know, that, but it's played like in straight 4/4 as opposed to a shuffle. And Nick actually arranged it there and then. We had all the ideas down, and I believe Nick recorded it on a cassette player, though I'm not entirely sure. I seem to recall him cutting it up as well and splicing it together. He was like that. He could do all sorts of stuff. Anyway, and then Dave said, I've got some words for that, and that's how it came out.
Wow. And then did that catapult the band, so to speak? I mean, you were already a big band. I mean, when that record came out and that song came out, did you just go to the next level?
Yeah, the band was doing really well at that time. And it was also the first time since the first album that we actually took some serious time off the road to record. The other albums, you know, we go in the studio for like 2 or 3 weeks and go back on the road, go back and finish. It was very piecemeal up to that point.
Okay.
But this is the first time, I think we took like 2 or 3 months off the road to record. We were in a studio in Sharon, Vermont, on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. What's it called? Sun Treader. We wanted to, in fact, Nick and I had rented a station wagon, and we put some keyboards, drums, guitars in the back, and went to like a number of different studios outside of New York. We wanted to be away from everything, no distractions, just making music, you know. No women. It's probably why we started writing songs about them. But it was anyway. We found Sun Treader. Nick found Sun Treader, and Nick and I were there, and I set up the drums, and Nick played piano and keyboards. It was really sort of, as long as the drums sounded great. If the drums don't sound great, I mean,
the record isn't going to do anything.
You know, it might as well.
You might as well throw the record away.
It was a big wooden room, and it worked. It was a lot of fun, you know. And we rented a house like at the bottom of the mountain, where everybody stayed. It was a good time. It was the first time I think we really locked. We always were a band, but we, you know, living together like that. It was good because, you know, we would take the music home with us. The next morning we go in, or midday, we go back into the studio, listen to what we'd done. It was an exciting time. You know, some of the songs sort of came real easy, and some of them took a little longer. In fact, Slow Ride, which Nick reminded me of, the studio had a meltdown. We were playing the song up until the drum and bass break, you know, and Nick plays it, and you know, I've got put my funky shoes on, and funky feet. Boy got funky feet, and everything went out. The whole studio went dark. I think one of the locals ran into a pole, or maybe a moose did. I don't know. Anyway, it was out. Yeah. They had moose there. Moose on this about this house, and it was so we're out. The record stopped right in the middle of the drum and bass break, and so I think we went back on the road for a while. We just did some dates just to keep our hands in. And then we went back about a month or so later. They fixed the problem or whatever happened. And it was just Nick and I in the studio. And he said, all right, because we liked the track up until then. And he said, all right, well, then I'll just roll the machine and then you just play. I go, all right. Then I just start playing again. And along with the track, Nick punches me in. He comes running down the stairs, these steep stairs like this, and his clogs, click, 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 like that. And that's how we finished the song.
Oh my gosh! So you had to pick up where the power outage started.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about it, but we would. Nick came down and played some bass on our last studio album, Under the Influence. He's now living in Iceland.
Wow.
He came down and he reminded me of that around that time. I'd forgotten it. And I said, yes, he's a bright lad, actually.
That's so cool. And obviously you guys as a live band have something so awesome. I mean, your live record goes double platinum. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And
well, the band was always a live band. That was the reason. You've got this, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, look.
I don't have the physical, but I've just been listening to it on Spotify.
No, but look, let's see.
Oh.
2 discs, a DVD, and lots of pictures and stories. My girlfriend did all this artwork.
It looks awesome.
It is awesome. I'm going to tell my manager that we need to send him one.
I'll get his address from Amanda.
Linda will get your address.
Oh, I would love to have one. Thank you.
But the Foghat's it's always been about a live band. I seem to remember, the early. I used to like doing the Don Kirshner's rock concerts. They were always live. I mean, no lip syncing for this band. Bunch of rubbish that is. No, I think we did one. I think we did Slip, Tripped and Fell in Love off of the In the Mood for Something Rude album. We did a video. That was fun. But no, it's all about that's the one thing this band always prided itself on. We could play live. Nobody would get drunk or stoned before you play. I think might have played with a couple of hangovers, but that's not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it was always about playing. We always took pride in our playing. It was hey, you make that joyful noise. That's what rock and roll is all about.
I'm curious to know, with being such a live band, how did that affect you when when COVID happened and not being able to play? I'm sure you've been at it for 50 plus years.
Yeah. It was about the first time I had a year and a half off since I don't remember. I the other day I said I don't think I've had a summer off since I was 12 years old. But it was actually, in some ways, I felt kind of bad because I live in a beautiful part of Long Island, live right on the water in a houseboat. I got to go fishing regularly. I got to actually put all the vegetables in the garden and eat them, and mow the lawn, fix some stuff around the house that needed fixing. Got to spend some real time with my girlfriend, and life was good. The kids couldn't come and see me because their mother is somewhat compromised, so they would stand at the 50 yards away at the other end of the garden or something and say, "Oh, Dad, how you doing? Good. Can I have a hug?" No.
Air hug.
But I actually enjoyed it. I tried to keep my hand in. I practiced a little bit on the pads and stuff. But I do have a room where my drums are set up. But in fact, I didn't really touch them that much. But I practiced usually every couple of days. I'd sit down on the pads for an hour or two. Still, I'm gonna keep it.
Keep your fingers loose.
Yeah. Issues with them. But I kind of enjoyed it. It's good to be back though.
Yeah.
I missed it. And it was really cool. Like, because I didn't see the band because 3 of the guys lived down in Florida, and we couldn't travel or see anything. We talked for about once a month. We talked, but it was when we got to our first rehearsal, which was about just over a month ago. We were down at we have a studio down in Florida in DeLand, and it was kind of nice. Everybody starts hugging each other, which because we've been together. This band's been together over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to hug each other, but it was very emotional.
I was gonna say it probably was an emotional moment for you all to finally see each
was.
other after a year
Cool.
year and a half.
Because it's always Foghat's always been a band. It was never about one person. Lonesome Dave was a great front man, and in lots of ways he was the heart and soul of this band because of his great musical knowledge and his input. But the 4 of you, when you take the stage, that's what it's about. And that's it. It's just the 4. It's not anybody else. It's like, and you rely on each other, for heads up. And we've always been noted for extending jams. Again, you have to sort of stay aware in case the bass player or the the lead guitar player or the singer decides to do something else. You go, whoa, a left turn at Albuquerque.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, real quick on the new record. I mean, Slow Ride's what, 9 minutes at the end there.
Sorry about that.
Not that I'm complaining, but but yeah, like I was gonna say, that's so cool that you're able to get back together, put this record out, which is incredible, and I appreciate your time so much, Roger. And my last question to you, real quick, is if you have any advice to aspiring artists.
Get a day job. Work in a bank. That's where they keep the money. Don't work in banks. They're horrible. They've closed most of them down for some reason. I don't know. Don't lose your passion for music. Don't lose your passion for playing. That's what you survive. I mean, I know many musicians and players, that have their day jobs and stuff, but they just love to play. I'm just one of those fortunate few in this world who gets to earn a decent living at something I love, and I'm going to keep doing it until I'm going to roll till I'm old and rock till I drop. Oh, I am old. I don't feel it though. My girlfriend says I act like a 16-year-old. I tell my wife, no, more like 21 because I get laid more now.
There you go. Oh, you are fantastic, Roger. I appreciate you.